They're doing all that.
Yeah.
How long we are
Yeah,
not
yeah.
efficient.
They're
That's a
working
lot.
on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
They've got a lot to finish.
Those ones are always long.
Nice to meet you.
Have the.
How about you? Are you leading, are you leading a short? Working on so. Work there for.
Well, welcome everyone. As a way of introduction, my name is Sandone Chiodini. I work at the Front-End Office of International Education. I'm the Director of Faculty-Led and Custom Programs. Thank you so much for joining us today. If the folks at home, Suzanne, someone can just put a thumbs up. Can you hear us? Great, I see you shaking your head. So I'm assuming all the other folks can hear us as well. Well, today we are gonna unpack what Ethan Howard experimented a few months ago with the students and out during the scouting trip. So as a way of introduction, Isa Beltre is a professor of marketing at Bentley University. She's also the co-director of the First Gen program, and Howard Goode is an adjunct lecturer in the
IDCC.
yes, XD now
Yeah.
department. So welcome both, and the podium is yours.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you
Hello
so
to
much.
everybody online. We're super excited to talk to you guys about our journey for Jamaican Journeys. So, which was really, I'll just start off by saying that this was an amazing trip. It was my first time ever doing a broad trip. And I was like super nervous when we started planning. But once we finally got everything, our itinerary, I was really excited and just more excited about the students because they really had a transformational experience. So for those who don't know, Jamaican Journeys, the class is a marketing class. It's a marketing class. Also, what's interesting about this class is that we mix graduates and undergraduates together. But our course title was Jamaican Journeys, Unveiling Brands, Culture, and Consumer Trends. And really with this class, it really went into how countries are brands, and specifically Jamaica, right? When you think about how important Jamaica, when you see that flag, everyone knows that, right? So how does this come about? What's the history behind it? And then the students really learned from Jamaican businesses, right? So the course immersed students in Jamaica's cultural industries, studying music, sports, hospitality, fashion, merchandising, marketing, and brand management, through site visits, workshops. We had a lot of great lectures that Howard will get into after in our presentation. Students explored historical, cultural Jamaican brands. We really engaged with local experts. We spent a lot of time in Kingston, which was great because most study abroad do not go to Kingston. They just go to where you think of the tourists as. And that's really where the cultural essence of Jamaica is. Oh, sorry, what are you doing this? So how did this grant help? And, you know, I hope that everybody here has applied to a grant, is going to apply, is thinking about doing these programs. Because we learned as much from doing this as well as the students learned as well. So,
This gives us the idea.
no, no, I didn't. This is. Oh, yes, sir. Is this, oh, you know what, is this not a presentation? That's why.
Okay.
Let's just put this in presentation. There you go. Sorry about that, guys. So why was this class so important? As I mentioned already, we mixed grad and undergraduate. Another big part of this class was that MOU that we signed with the University of West Indies to really foster that relationship between Bentley and the University of West Indies, between students, faculty, and administration. So really, we can develop that relationship as a way where our students can interact with the University of West Indies, and in the future, their students can interact with us in Bentley. Hopefully that is our goal. Really the impact it created for Bentley communities and the partners from Jamaica, because as we'll discuss later, we actually had these students do a partnership with Jamaican brands, and they are actually presenting this week. So we're super excited. Student exposure to culture, music, history, art, food, people, and the Jamaican brands. Again, the importance of the brand to Jamaica and personal connections. And, you know, the students before going on this trip had to watch the Bob Marley One Love movie. So they really had a great foundation before going into Jamaica. So it wasn't like the first time they stepped there, they didn't know anything about it. Okay, so what are we all here for? To really know how this grant helps, right? And it is doing this for the first time. If you didn't go to scout the country you're going to, I can imagine going into this blind, especially a country like Jamaica. Now, if you're going into a very developed country, I'm sure you can do everything, online, do search, but for Jamaica, this was crucial for us, right? So it really helped us specifically for logistical support, right? Because we can think, okay, this is what we want to do, how we want to do this itinerary, but when you're actually on the ground, that really helps you flush out so many things. Helps you logistically, most importantly, how is the agenda going to work? How is the logistics going to work? How is it going to take from time to get from point A to point B, meeting those partners, right? So I have some examples here that I'll go through. So first, as I mentioned, the most important thing was the logistical support that we really had to flush out, right? Because on paper, things look a certain way. And then when you actually do it, you're like, okay, we're only a mile from that place. You think it'll take you 5 minutes, but with traffic, it's gonna take you 45 minutes, right? So understanding those nuances, and that's why this was really important. So for example, we had originally on our list to go visit the Yardie divers and have it go through an artwork. So the Yardie divers, we met with them, and as Howard and I are sitting there and having a conversation, we realized this is like a safety concern here, right? Because we were gonna go out to another island, the boat wasn't as great as we thought it was gonna be. So then right there, that led us to say, you know what? Right now, this is not the time for us to do that, right? So you were able to assess those types of risk and safety.
And if I could jump in here, for those who don't know, I am from Jamaica. I was born in Jamaica, grew up in Jamaica. I lived in Jamaica until 30-something years old. So a lot of what I was being told from our partners was very familiar to me, right? But there's nothing beats actually going there and feeling it and experiencing it. And when we went on the Yardie divers, Issa and I went, and we went out on the tour, and the tour was awesome. But something started twitching inside of me that this is outside of our risk tolerance, right? I wouldn't feel comfortable taking our students in this situation. And interestingly, as soon as we got back on shore, and I kind of just looked at Issa, and she was like, it was something. And we couldn't quite put a finger on it, but as we talked and I reached out to other folks, and we started to narrow it down and realized, yeah, this is not within our risk tolerance right now. And I want to contrast that with Art Walk, because Art Walk I never actually visited during the fam trip, right? And from me, and most of you would probably, whatever you know about downtown Kingston, it's scary. Well, I used to work downtown Kingston for like 10 years. And yes, there are parts that you don't want to go. But when I actually went to my contacts and started to talk to people, and not just what people are saying to you on an email or over the phone, but when you stand up and you look and talk to people eye to eye and you read their facial expressions and they say, it's good, then you get that good feeling like, yeah, I can trust what they're saying to me. And so I just wanted to contrast those two.
And also, even though Howard was from there, he had a while he didn't go. So how he thinks he left Jamaica is sometimes that's not how it was. So that was also a good thing to have the fan trip. So we were able to, go to all the sites that we wanted to do, right? Another thing is we were using a travel partner for the first time. So we had to meet them, right? And kind of vet out, what their expectation was and our expectation. And really the number one thing that I think was the best thing for the fan trip was, looking at the accommodations, because understanding our target, our students are business students, and they're used to this. This wasn't a volunteer trip, right? So the accommodations that they're used to at Bentley, I can't take a group of business students that they have, what they're used to a place that is not their level of expectation, right? So that was great to say, okay, this is what they're used to. This is, even though this isn't like, a five-star vacation, right? But there's a certain level of expectation that we need. And if we didn't do that, we would have been in not a great accommodation for us. Right, so that for me, when I went on this fan trip, was really to look at it through that lens of what are my students expecting? What are they paying for this too, right? Because we want to make sure that the value that they're expecting and paying is what they're going to get out of it. So that was really important. as we look at, vendor expectations, Howard and I were also able to foster those relationships. We bought everybody like a gift from Bentley just for them to see, how we appreciate that. So we didn't want to just come and take from Jamaica. We wanted to give to Jamaica as well. So fostering those relationships, and having that personal, getting to know, nothing is better than in person. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody says, really. You really get to know people and see, what it is that you have in your mind, envisioning it, and then what it actually ends up being. And the last thing I would say, this also the fam trip helped us spark innovation, right? So when you're meeting with one partner, you start having conversations, you're like, oh, this might be a better fit for you guys, right? And that there's no search online, there's nothing that would have been able to give that. And when I think about that, the Branson Center is one that really comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, the Branson Center is something that we didn't think about, or travel partner that suggested it and was like, aha, yeah, this would be a great fit. So it's one of those things where when you're driving through those winding roads in Junction and getting all upset because, you're dizzy and you're starting to laugh and have those great conversations, that's when these ideas start to bubble up, right? And they can say, but, oh, now I see what you're trying to do. Why don't we do blah, 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 blah? And the dots start to connect, right? And so that's how some of the suggestions came forward. And so that's one of the other things that, we'll have your
and then really the, going from place to place really allows you to assess how much time you need, what a student's gonna need on the bus. Like, I was almost throwing up because I was like, this is way too windy. So we know we need to have water for them on the bus, snacks, right? And those are things that if you're just doing this on paper, you don't really know real.
And we decided to not take that road.
Yeah. All right, so now I'm gonna pass it over to Howard. He's really gonna go through the application process and things that you need, the required criteria and the priority criteria, and how we broke these down as part of the grant and how we did our application.
Yeah, thanks. So, and one of the things, and I only have a slide later on in the deck that speaks to the required criteria and the priority criteria. And what we have done right here is just to slide in the different activities that we got involved in and how they fit within those criteria. So one of the things top of his list is the specific global learning. And one of the things we looked at is we have programs all over the world, but very few right in our backyard. And so this was a way to extend Cronin's influence and reach into the Caribbean. In particular also is that we have a very strong Caribbean and in particular Jamaican community within the Boston area. And we're not really interacting or reaching out to them. And so this was an opportunity to do just that. We also looked at the outsized influence that Jamaica has in these categories globally, right? Everybody knows about Marley, the music, the art, the fashion, the sports. First thing you think about when you talk about the fastest man, Usain Bolt, right? These outsized influence on the world, how does it happen? And we're able to walk the students through it, take them to these event sites and have them experience it. The triangular trade. I mean, Boston and Jamaica are inextricably linked through the triangular slave trade, right? Historically significant. And we were able to walk the students through just mentioning it to remind them of that link and show the relevance there. The molasses flood, stuff like that. The integration with curriculum of the academic departments. So as Isa explained, this is marketing. And so we were able to create a panel for the students of the top 5 institutions in Jamaica responsible for creating the brand Jamaica, maintaining the brand Jamaica, and saying where the brand Jamaica is going to be, right? So Jamaica Tourist Board, Tourism Enhancement Fund, UDC, and drawing a blank on the other 2. But we were able to create that panel for the students and have them have that discussion where they walk through what exactly the marketing side of all of this big brand Jamaica was happening.
Yeah, so we tried to take each of our learning objectives in the academic component and ensuring that everything that we touched upon, kind of rolled up to, our learning objectives and, make sure that we expose the students, not just to the cultural and being on the ground, but also what's the academic component that they're gonna need to, complete their project. And the third one?
Yeah, and so again, required criteria, we had three different partners. Strong alignment of course content, destination, and activities. So we had three impact projects that we were working with. Anansi, Rastafari, Indigenous Village, and SIPS. And what we were trying to do is to make sure that the students are interacting with these brands. So they learn a little thing about marketing. Now they need to use that thing they learned about marketing, right? To create some impact for these brands.
And these are some pictures of SIPs, that's Rastafari Village, which they love that.
And so now the priority criteria are required to know these are the priority. Hands-on action learning, because everybody knows Bentley, business for good. So we went there to do some marketing artifacts that will help those people enhance whatever business for good that they are doing. We looked at the Branson Center, where Branson Center came to Jamaica, they set up shop, and they are now helping to develop the entrepreneurial environment in Jamaica. We were able to bring the students into that and have a workshop with the people who are actually doing it, with a couple of the students who were, entrepreneur students, and for this Bentley students to be like, one hand washing the other kind of thing, helping them in terms of flushing out their ideas and also learning from their own experiences. Interdisciplinary was another high criteria, and so we took them to, interdisciplinary, I guess that speaks for itself. UN Sustainable Goals, creating estates was coffee farming, not in the big plantation sense that, people probably familiar with, but how do you just like have the community farmers and reap from that and make a brand out of it? You'll see some elements on this slide with 2025, just go back, 2025. These are elements that we are trying to get into this year's iteration because we weren't able to get them in the first iteration. Just, we got this done in less than a year. So, we had to cut some things to make it fit. But those are some of the elements that we think we can pull into the following, into this iteration.
And then, so as I mentioned, the best part I think about for the students and for us is we really had a third pillar, which is the impact of it. So they got to work on 3 projects, 3 brands from Jamaica, right? So before we went on the fan trip, these are the 3 that we had: Sip Spring Water, Charlestown Maroon, and Rosslyn Indigenous Village. So we were able, and this is something that with the fam trip helped us go with the grant, is knowing when to pivot and when things are not going to work out, right? So the SIPs worked out for us, Rosslyn Indigenous Village worked out for us, but Charlestown Maroons didn't, right? Because we realized that, after we went to visit them on the original trip, but then when we came back, the communication wasn't there and they didn't have the infrastructure in order for them to really, for the students to finish the project, right? So we made a decision that we didn't want the students to be frustrated and not being able to get the information they need from their partner. So then we had to pivot. And because going on the trip, we had a backup, right? And that's one thing. My friend is very risk averse, so everything, he has like plan B for everything, right? I'm, with the experience with the students, I look at, well, this combination is not gonna work, this restaurant's not gonna work, this is gonna take too long, so we really worked well together as a team, and that really helped us to familiarize ourselves on my teaching style, his teaching style, his travel style, my travel style. So it's like we complemented each other. And then we just want to end with some pictures. This was our welcome dinner. And this was beautiful. We got there, we had our travel partners. We met them there, and then all the students were super excited. It came straight from the airport. This is a Branson Center, right? This was really valuable for the students because they got to hear from Jamaican entrepreneurs, right? And next year, as we're thinking about a new project partner, this might be a great project partner for us, right? The Barmani Museum, we do have a video that we'll show you guys. It's Emancipation Park. And then we're gonna end. Oh, this is the artwork. Oh, send anything you want. This was great. And then we'll play the video.
Hey y'all, my name is Blessing Ojo. I am a sophomore at Bentley University, and recently over spring break, I got the amazing opportunity to be part of the Jamaican Journeys faculty-led trip. With that being said, here are my top 5 highlights from this experience. Number 1, we have the Bob Marley Museum Tour. Now, you cannot come to Jamaica without hearing about Bob Marley and learning of his tremendous impact on the island. We were not able to record inside the museum for privacy policies, but it was an amazing experience and I got to learn so much about his legacy. We then ended this tour with a panel of Jamaican tourism leaders discussing the current branding and marketing of Jamaica along with their future goals for the island's promotion. Next, we have the Blue Mountain Coffee Tour. Now, I bet you didn't know Jamaica has the best coffee in the world, and during this tour, we got to hike up to the mountain where the coffee plants are grown and hear from a coffee expert himself who gave us the ins and out on why Jamaica's coffee is #1. We also got to try the coffee for ourselves, and as someone who doesn't even drink coffee, it was delicious. At number 3, we have the Branson Center of Entrepreneurship Caribbean panel. Here, we got to network with Jamaican business owners who shared insights on leveraging their culture for success and discussed their entrepreneurial journeys and future visions, helping to broaden my understanding of international entrepreneurship. Number 4, we have the Rastafari Indigenous Village Tour. Now, this experience here was an absolute 10 out of 10. During this experience, we got to indulge in the lifestyle of Rastafarians and learn more about this spiritual way of life. We got to see how they use natural plants and herbs for food, medicine, and to connect with their higher beings. We even got to witness the process firsthand of how they create drums using natural wood and got to try out the process for ourselves. The best part of this for me was being able to cook a recipe following the Ital diet Rastas follow, which excludes meat from their palates. We learned how to cook Ital stew and fried cassava, and oh my God, guys, it was so good. Last but not least, at number 5, we have the Duns River Falls experience. Now, this team bonding activity allowed me to connect more with my peers as we helped each other climb up this waterfall. The views were amazing, the water was so refreshing, and it was an absolute thrill. Overall, this trip was an amazing experience. 1,000 out of 10, broke my scale. I highly recommend it. Shout out to Issa, Howard, and Sandane for putting this trip together. Y'all did y'all big one because it was truly unforgettable. And big ups Kayla and JR, who are our Jamaican tour guides that really helped to create an authentic Jamaican experience for us. So if you are still hesitant about studying abroad, take this as your sign to go. It's blessing approved, and I promise you won't regret it. Yeah, man.
All right,
There it is.
there it is. So we'll pass it on. Thank you.
I just have a few slides and we can open for QA. That was great. Thanks so much. So I actually have 2 faculty members, 3 faculty members in the room, and I think Dawn is online. But this is the list of the recipients of the grants as well. So you're looking forward to also having some sort of arrangement to review your scouting trip and also the feedback from the students from when these amazing faculty members are coming back from these exciting new destinations. The grant, it's made possible by the Academic Innovation Fund and donor support. These global grants are really a tool to enable the faculty to develop new grad or undergrad courses. And it's, like Howard mentioned, a way to expand the footprint of Bentley. So we are really trying to focus on the required criteria and the priority criteria, really thinking about the global learning objectives. I think it goes without saying that we are now living in a more globalized world than ever. It doesn't matter where the students will be working with who. They will be, working with co-workers from other parts of the world. So having them travel and having them immersed in global courses provides them very, very strong skills. The curriculum, again, the integration with the department that the course is coming from, and strong alignment with content destination activities, very much like what was mentioned by the 2 faculty members, is in Howard. The priority criteria, is very, very focused on the hands-on action learning projects. I think this is something that we are aiming for now, providing a time and the environment for students to fail, learn from it, and move on. So I think these are the projects. These projects, they support that sort of environment, hands-on experience. Emerging economies, Latin America, Africa, and Asia, again, to the diversified destination and the interdisciplinary approach. We have made an exceptional new deadline for July 1st. So if you know of any colleague that is itchy to apply, the funds upon approval, they are dispersed immediately. They are available for the faculty member to use after approval. So if you have any faculty member that applies by July 1st and is approved, they may travel over the summer or in the fall. The January 31st deadline is for is the traditional deadline, and that is for faculty members who are planning to use the funds in either the spring or summer next year. Both of these different, the two deadlines, they are for 2026 courses. While here, it's probably a little bit infused to say that most of the funds are usually used for travel, you also may think about COIL, online collaborative approach. So is there some sort of hardware or software that you need to buy to run something online? That the grants could also be used for that. Application materials, 2-page proposals and course syllabus meeting the grant criteria, an approval letter from your department chair, a timeline to develop the course and also the scouting trip, and a rough itinerary. What would that look like for when the students go on the course? And I'm going to pass over to my colleague, Susan. Suzanne, are you there? Suzanne Doe from the Bodava Center.
Hi.
Yes.
I'm here. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Sandy, do you want to know how to put her up on top of that?
Yes.
I think I can do
It's a Mac. I don't think it matters.
it. The next one. Oh,
I can.
well. Usually
They were
we
up there
have
before.
windows.
Yes.
In the Zoom screen.
Yeah,
You minimize the
just
presentation.
click on here, and then
She presented.
shift under. She's.
1 second.
She just
Yep,
got slapped.
no problem.
Or just minimize it.
Shares. There you go.
Thank you.
Now everyone can see you. The floor is yours.
Okay. Great. Well, good to see you all. Thank you, Sundane, for inviting the Bodava Center to present at this luncheon. I'm so excited by the global grants. And, you know, as someone who had my first study abroad experience as a 6-year-old, international learning has been part of my own personal and professional journey for many years. So I'm really personally very interested in being able to see this initiative emerging and contribute a little bit of what I think about on a day-to-day basis to the conversation. So, you know, there's quite a bit of research talking about looking at the impact of global learning experiences and different kinds of study abroad on student learning. And sort of the highlight or the headline, I guess, that I would say is that study abroad is known, is recognized as a high impact practice, and it correlates with student retention, graduation, and learning, especially for students who have typically been underserved by post-secondary education. And so we know that thoughtfully designed global experiences really can engage students in a way that sometimes classroom experiences may struggle to do. So we really have this opportunity to think about how do we marry sort of typical traditional classroom learning with field work or outside of the classroom experiences. The point to emphasize is that when global experiences are thoughtfully designed, they can engage students, and there have been different researchers have looked at different elements. So some research has found, for example, a gain in understanding of global issues. There's been research that's looked at the ability for students to sort of take the disciplinary knowledge that they're learning in a classroom and apply it to a global context. So I thought Isa and Howard, you did a great job of talking about how your students were applying marketing concepts that they were just beginning to learn perhaps, but looking at those in sort of an actual setting in Jamaica. So that would be a great example. Another important element, as Sandhane, as you said at the outset, that our world is becoming, our economy is, and our cultures are increasingly global. And so for our students to be able to develop that greater sense of comfort and fluency in working with people from other cultures, there is also research that shows that global learning experiences can assist with these kinds of outcomes. If you could advance the next slide, Sandhane, that would be great. So one of the main points, though, is, we think about thoughtfully designed global learning. And so that's what I think, what the Cronin Center is doing with these grants is really helpful, because it allows the faculty, it gives you time and resources so that you can actually go to the place and plan these experiences really well, with support from Cronin. The Bedeva Center, Liz Poster and I are also happy to meet with people before you go on one of the planning trips, or after you come back from your planning trip. Think about how some of what you saw or experienced might inform the design of your global learning course. So there are opportunities to look for partnerships. I think Isa and Howard mentioned how they went on site, and sometimes a conversation, you thought it was going to go in one direction, and it turns out there's a new idea for a partnership that you might not have known about if you had just tried to do some research on internet. Intentionally integrating these action learning opportunities, it's really important. I know that can seem daunting, and so I thought it might be helpful if I could, kind of walk through briefly a sort of 3-tier approach for that, for the action learning. So you can think about this at the sort of most basic level, really is exposure. There is value to having students come into contact with a new perspective or a new expanded worldview. And so exposure can be, at the most basic level, a way that students' learning can be enhanced. At the second level, engagement. And that doesn't need to be, a sustained, really big lift. It can be a session, a company visit, or a panel experience where students are maybe learning about a new research practice or approach to, sort of a method for doing something that is a little different maybe at that company than it might be in the United States. So this sort of engagement can be the second level. And then at the most, I guess, most intense level would be an immersion kind of experience where there can be sustained engagement, maybe with a local partner or local organization of some kind. And that's where I think that the, online, a complement of online with some on ground kind of an experience could really bear fruit. So being, knowing that we have technology that can enable us to connect with a partner in advance. And so students might be able to gain, some insight or do some interviews with a potential around a potential project that they're going to work on when they're going then into the country. So that was really all I wanted to share, was that this, really putting some thought into how to design the global learning experience, I think is well worth it. And we clearly have great resources at Bentley I know Sandane is always happy to meet with faculty, and I wanted to extend from the Davis Center that we are as well. This is one of my favorite photos. People sometimes say, Suzanne, you're not in the photo, but I actually am, because I was on screen at this particular meeting, and Ryan Bolden and I were doing some funny things that caused the room to burst into laughter. So we are hosting Bagels at Davis on Friday, May 10th. So come on in. It's really just an interactive session, opportunity to brainstorm, share ideas, look for connections, and we're happy to offer resources as well if that is helpful. So that's all I've got today, Sandane.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna open the floor for Q&A if there are any, but I really have to just pause with supporting it. But the goal really is to hopefully inspire other faculty members. It takes a village to put this together. It's a slow process. It takes time and resources. So we are very appreciative that the university is now providing those funds for the Cronin to manage. Natalie can testify that this has been a generous donation from Bentley to our office to really foster this sort of environment, to now take some manageable risk to go to new locations and start new courses.
And I'll just add that it's also, in addition to a portion of the funds coming from the Academic Innovation Fund, it's also donor funding. So as you all connect with alumni in your circles, you know, thank them and let them know about the impact. And I know you guys are the pioneers in this, so we'll be able to inspire more donor giving, right? It's something we're all trying to do.
Thanks.
One of the things that I wanted to add, just having come back from Brazil with Tony, and his son Howard, you must have noticed this as well. One of the great things about the trips is that the faculty figure out how to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Because the interdisciplinary thing is not as easy as it sounds. And we were a sciences guy and a management person, and there was a lot of, what? So that part was really cool, that we actually have to figure out ourselves how to work with this other person who speaks a different language than we do and has different ideas.
Yeah.
And that was really rewarding, so thank you.
I felt that way when I was in Jamaica, and I had to really train my ear to understand the Jamaican accent. But yes.
They had to do the same with you, don't worry.
I bet they did. I think the next faculty member traveling is Professor Duggan. Joe, you're taking off next week, right?
Yes, yep. I've got a slate of meetings arranged with potential partners, and looking forward to coming up with you know, a more detailed itinerary.
That's great. So for the folks in the room, Iris and Tony Kaczynski, they just came back from Brazil. Lincoln Macho just came back from Singapore, Kuala Lumpur,
Ho Chi Minh City.
and Vietnam, 3
1 week.
countries in 1 week.
Wow.
And Professor Dagme is heading to Panama next week. And David Stamps and we were in Nigeria 2 weeks ago. So there is an upcoming course to Nigeria next year. So I just think it's fantastic to be at Bentley at this time where the needle is slowly shifting to these new destinations, to taking courses such as yours, Lincoln, AI in emerging economies. I mean, we're talking about AI the whole time. So I just want to, you know, thank you all for taking the time, because I know if it's as easy, everybody would just do it. It takes, I don't even know how to explain how much time it takes those things.
Can I just make one more plug? If all goes well on Wednesday, the new professional MBA is going to be approved. And there are required global travel courses at the graduate level for those. And three opportunities within the 22 months. So we're and they are specifically supposed to be around these action learning projects and interdisciplinary. So we'll need more.
We'll be looking, I'm excited to, you know, represent Cronin with Natalie and helping to create those. That's exciting. I hope it goes out with the voting on Wednesday.
Everybody, please come and vote.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate everyone coming out today. I wish we could do more of this, probably more often now that we have these wonderful faculty members in the room that just came back. So next year, probably we have to do an hour and a half lunch and we can travel the world in like 90 minutes, maybe. Very exciting. Isa and Howard, thank you again.
You're welcome.
The students were very happy.
Yeah.
So one small thing that I learned when I work with professors is that creating those programs and helping faculty to market them, it's a lot of work. One of the things that I thought it was really inspiring to see is a student Blessing. She put that video together and she was so excited to do that. So as you go abroad now, if you feel like there is one student that has that gene inside that can put something together, I really hope that you can talk to them, because that would really help always for like the next year. Because as much as we staff and faculty talk to students, I think when it comes from another student, it's just so much more organic and it's helpful for them to see from a student perspective. So that was one thing that I learned through your
Yeah,
course.
absolutely. All the students, you know, they live on their phone, so, they just had so much footage and weeks and, you know, even until yesterday, you know, they were all posting things from Jamaica and like, well, I wish I was here, or Flashback Friday, they're on the beach. So it's really, they are the ones that really are going to, get other students
Yeah.
excited. Because you can
Yeah.
tell them as much, you can create a pamphlet, you know, but when they actually see their peers, you know, doing things, and, you know, they're very powerful, the word of mouth and their own social media and user-generated content, as we call in marketing, really is what's really selling the course.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, because even yesterday I was talking with a grad student and he's like, oh, yeah, I saw it on Instagram. I'm like, what? But I never said anything about it, you know, and so people are seeing it and coming back and say, yeah, I saw you on this video, I saw. Okay, so the word is getting around, because, you know, this is a positive peer interaction that is really, promoting.
So Suzanne made the invitation, May 10. We'll be working collaborative, Cronin and Vadalvas, to team up and support our faculty. So if you know any of your colleagues who are thinking about, there is no secret here. Come by and say hello. No right or wrong questions. We are here to help and help them walk through their thought process about the course. Very exciting. Suzanne, thank you again for joining over Zoom.
Thank you. And actually, I was just thinking this might be a good thing for the next teaching or learning and teaching colloquium, maybe next year. Maybe there could be a special session where people could share either posters or something like that about all of the amazing trips that are coming up. So good to see you all. Thank you.